Hi, I think we're on here. All right. Today I want to show you a little bit how I study on my iPad, which is where I spend most of my time. Now, as you know, I use LingQ, so I make no bones about it. I use LingQ. That's what I like to do. That's how I like to study. Of course, I'm connected with LingQ. Every so often I get someone on my YouTube channel who says, "Oh, you always talk about LingQ," or "Why do you knock other people's products," or stuff like that. So I like LingQ, and I like doing these videos. I like to encourage people to learn. I also want to encourage people to use LingQ, obviously. If people find value in what I'm doing, fine. If they don't, then of course they needn't listen to me. So that's fine. Yeah, so here is, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to project my iPad screen onto my screen, a screen that I can share. When I do that, then I lose the sound. All right. So first of all, here is, of course, a typical page. So I'll just show it this way first. Let's get out of here. And so these are my France 24. This is my course, France 24, where I have had various podcasts transcribed. Again, I don't know what I can show you on the screen, but a new thing we're doing, this is a beta version. We have the ability now to basically create a playlist of the course so that I'll show you, hopefully I can show you on the screen. This is in beta. No one has it yet. I have it. So that you can click and then you can listen to all of the lessons that are in that course, which for something like France 24, where each interview is 25 minutes long, that's not so important. But if you have the mini stories, then it's really good to have a 4-minute mini story followed by the next and the next and the next in a playlist. So that's something that'll come up. But as you can see here, I have a number of these, and I have been working on the one from December. Get my glasses on. December the 9th. We're approaching the end of our 90-day challenge, and I'm trying to crank it up, but it's difficult for me because, as I've said before, I'm caught between the easy content that I've been over so many times and the difficult content that is really too difficult. Now, this particular interview from December the 9th, which I had transcribed, is an interview with a political leader in Lebanon. So it's very interesting because he talks about the different parties in Lebanon and Israel and Syria and so forth. But what's very nice is that his voice is pleasant to listen to. That's very important. Even though I don't understand most of what he's saying, I catch some words, plus his voice is pleasant to listen to. The sound quality is good. He may have some regional pronunciation. I'm sure any of you Arab speakers there, people are always quick to point out, don't listen to him, don't listen to her. This is no good, that's no good. It doesn't matter to me. I'm learning words. When I learned Portuguese, whether I listened to European Portuguese or Brazilian Portuguese, it didn't really matter. I'm learning words. I have to be able to understand all those people. Many of you dealing with accents, do you want to learn Spanish or Mexican or Colombian or Australian or Scottish? Really, you should get used to them all. And if you're reading, it's the words that you're acquiring, the vocabulary, and you should expose yourself to a variety of accents. So it's possible that the person here has some kind of a Lebanese accent. I don't know. For people who understand Arabic, I will let you listen.
اهلا بكم اعزائي المشاهدين في حوار فرانس 24. نستضيف فيها هذا اليوم عضو الهيئه التنفيذيه في حزب القوات اللبنانيه النائب السابق أنطوان زهرة. اهلا بكم سعاده النائب في استوديوهات فرانس 24.
شكرا للاستضافه واهلا وسهلا فيك.
اهلا بكم. نبدا ربما بالوضع عند الحدود اللبنانيه الجنوبيه.
نعم.
So far I'm following. After that I start to lose more and more of it.
تتخوفون من انزلاق الامور الى حرب لبنانيه اسرائيليه؟
بالحقيقه رغم التهديدات الاسرائيليه المتكرره لا اظن ان الظروف الاقليميه تساعد على تحضير.
Okay, so he has a pleasant voice, has a pleasant, not too fast. He may have a regional accent, it's not something that I can tell. And so now let me see if I can hook this up to my computer. And whenever I do this, it wants to import photos and videos and stuff like that, which is a bit of a nuisance. But I go down to my QuickTime player, and then I go to File, New Movie Recording, and then it says operation could not be completed. Hit OK. Why? Boy, I was doing it earlier. Let us try again. QuickTime player, File, New Movie Recording. Here we go. Okay. So I am now going to share the screen. Let's see. Again, this is, we hope all this stuff works. Screen share. Ba-ba-bam. Start screen share. And present to everyone. So hopefully now, mute, no. Okay, so this should be working. So you're now looking at the page of, and so this is now on my iPad. We're seeing iPad. So as you'll see here, I have gone through, can I move my cursor? This is the first page. So here, while I'm struggling with difficult content in Arabic, and there are spots where the transcriber didn't transcribe, and for whatever reason, these were all jumbled together. But nevertheless, by and large, page 1, lots of white words. Okay. Oh, I forget that I can't change it on the screen. So if we go to page 2, you see there's more yellow words, but still lots of white. So I am, even though I have trouble understanding it, I'm encouraged by the fact that there's more and more white on the screen. Obviously, if I go to a page that I haven't been to yet, there's lots of blue. So here, typically what I do is I would go, Aidan, I know. Marjaiya, reference, all right? Did we get that? Yeah, that worked. Marjaiya. Okay, so far, Baida is far, Baidan, okay. Okay. Rauda, and the return of Marjaiya reference. So I go through and I will convert all the blue words to yellow. And I will sometimes find a yellow word that I know. I think, for example, rabt is a connection or linking. So by this time I know that word, I'll move that to white. So at the same time, and sometimes if I see, Tashkil al-Hukuma here, Tashkil al-Hukuma, by now I know that, form the government. So Tashkil al-Hukuma, that phrase, I might just say, yeah, I don't need that phrase anymore. And Tashkil, to form, formation, maybe I know that now. So I'm moving these to white, but I may move them back to yellow at some point because I forget them or whatever. So I go through this, and I've listened to the first part. In fact, I've listened to the whole thing quite a few times, and I'll plow through it for a while because it's tiring, converting words. Then I'll listen to the whole thing, and then I go forward again. By this time, I have a bit of momentum to the new part that I'm looking at. If I want to, now here there's there's 413 links. If we look up here, I should be doing this on the screen here. There's 413 links in this text. That's 413 words that I'm trying to learn. There are still 88 new words for me. Yeah, it's a bit confusing for me because I point to it on the screen, but I have to do the activity on the iPad. And one thing I wanted to show you, if I quit and I go to the top of this course, play course audio, they added a new thing. Okay, So the other day in the beta, they had this little eye guy up or play course audio. And I said that no one's going to notice, no one's going to find that. So now they've added a little thing here. This may not be how it shows up in the end because we're still in beta, but this would give you an opportunity in any course to play the course audio, which for the France 24 is not such a big deal. But if I go to Who Is She, for example, and which is 26 stories, I mean, I'm very excited about that now because I can go in and play the course audio. And in the Who Is She lessons, of course, you'll see that there are 0 blue words, and in many cases, very few yellow words, very few. Well, and then as I progress, 7, 8, 5, 13, 18. Obviously, in the later stories, there are more and more yellow words that I have previously saved and don't yet know. But if I look at the story here, like if we just pick this, for example, and I open that, so it's almost all white words. So whenever I get discouraged that I'm not progressing quickly, then I go back to an earlier lesson and realize that really I have learned a lot of words. I'm just wondering what else I should show you on the, because since we've got the iPad up here, so of course I can look at courses. First of all, I can set the, I was going to remember to look at the screen here. So yeah, there's a variety of settings you should look at. Obviously, I look at my daily link. I've been doing a lot of linking in Arabic. Courses, I can set it to lessons instead of courses. If I go to lessons, I'll look at the last lesson that I was, you'll remember, I showed you part 5 of Who Is She, and then France 24. And then, I can go to the library, my lessons, vocabulary, playlist. And of course, if I go to the playlist, and the playlist tells me that this is 100 of 108 items. Don't yet know what that means. This is still in beta. But we are now allowing people to add more and more lessons to their list in some way that I'm not entirely yet sure of, but it's in beta. Oh, yeah. So you can, at the bottom of your playlist now, you are able to add more items to your playlist. So that was one of the problems that people had identified. Let's see, what else do I do on here? Let us go back to my lessons. If I go back, let's say courses, go to Who Is She? So often what I do now, since let's say the back half of Who Is She, I've still got a lot of words that I need to learn. So I'll open up a lesson, and before I go through the lesson again, I'll focus just on the words that I don't know or that I don't feel comfortable with. So I can either go through find them on the text, or I can click up here and go through them, 19 of them, or I can read this page and then I'll have the various activities related to that particular page. Cool. La na uridu, maybe. Na uridu. No, la ithak. I don't trust confidence. Anyway, I got a lot of them wrong. And I go through them. And again, as I've said, and I do the dictation, which isn't going to work because there's no sound while this is plugged in. I go through these not with the intention of getting them right. I go through these as additional exposure. So quit, all right? I can go back to this. I will now exit this and see what questions there are. So stop. And there I am. And now I will have to unplug the iPad so that I can get to your questions. Let's see here. It's a bit confusing here because I'm kind of doing all kinds of different things. Kind of like Okay, turn off the audio. And okay, all right. So, كيف حالك? Okay, now, hi Steve. Hello, I like LingQ, but why the price hike? Because we have been, we still do have to cover our costs. And we felt that we would grandfather the costs for people who are already in the program, give people a break on the 6 months and 12 months deals, but we would try to get a little more money for the monthly. Besides which, the more and more of our signups are from mobile, and iOS charges 30% for every sign up. So that also eats into our revenue. Thank you for all the tips, Steve, but I'm really struggling in French learning, especially in writing. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to read a lot, listen a lot, that gets the language in you, and then you'll find that your writing will gradually improve, but you also have to write a lot. And I mean, writing is like speaking, really. If you can speak well, you'll be able to write well. In order to be able to speak well, you have to get the language in you through lots of reading and listening. Okay, so $10 a month was a reasonable price, but 12 is not. Okay, that's what it is. We have made that decision. We are not changing it. Steve, have you thought about users extending the streak by listening to some amount of audio instead of adding 13 new links? Through users extending their streak by listening to some amount of audio instead of adding 13 new links. Justin, that's a very good suggestion. And I think one of the things I want to do when I go back to Vancouver on Thursday, sit down and see how we can feature listening more. I think listening is the key activity. That's why the playlist drives a lot of my learning. I listen, I don't understand, then I go and look up words and phrases, but it's the listening that drives it. And I think that's a very good point. Thank you. I'm learning Belarusian. I'm surprised it has so much content on LingQ. That's great. Yes, we have a few, I think, very keen members who are from Belarus. And so that's great. No, it's not going to be just about Arabic. Hi, do you recommend Asimil to learn Arabic? It's a source. It's a source of content. The lessons, certainly the first lessons, and quite a lot of them are spoken very slowly, which is kind of good. I found the content itself quite uninteresting, artificial, trying to be cute sometimes. It's not one that I listen to a lot, but I did upload it onto LingQ, and I have the lessons transcribed so that I can study them on LingQ. But in a way, the vocabulary there is of less interest, the subject matter is of less interest. So I have not been overwhelmed by Asimil for Arabic. About 10 years ago, I found out that you can buy keyboard stickers in different languages. You can even buy a sticker with 4 different languages. Yeah, I mean, I'm not so keen on keyboard stickers. I would rather simply, there's so many, at least on my Mac, there's so many different keyboards for so many different languages. I can show you how many languages I'm able to type without stickers. I tend to go that way. Meow Pow, I'm Arabic and I understand everything, but my God, this is going to be difficult. Good luck. Thank you, Meow Pow, but it's interesting. Steve is more tech savvy than my mom. Okay. Do you take seriously adding the right word definition? If there's a verb and a noun definition, are you trying to add to your LingQ? I don't fully understand the question, but when I look up the dictionary definition, I'm looking for something that's going to help me get through the text. So I'll grab something. If I think it's not quite right, like you'll see other people have saved definitions that are not very good, sometimes I remove them. But sometimes I put 3 or 4 definitions in there because the next person may be interested in one or other of the other definitions. I try to read in Spanish every day. Good. I'm about to start Russian soon. Should I go straight into menu stores to get a lot of exposure? Or will it be better to start with 3 to 6 months of Babel? A bit intimidated with Slavic languages. Sophia, I would get myself, first of all, we do have a grammar for Russian. If you go to your profile, you'll see the grammar. It's just an overview. It's something that you can go to many, 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 many times. But if you are new to Russian, it will be overwhelming. I would recommend that you get yourself a little starter book, teach yourself something. I just find it's reassuring to have a book, and it introduces lessons and it provides some explanation, which we promptly forget or we don't even understand initially, some of these explanations, but it's part of the sort of gradually getting into the language. So I would start with mini stories. I started with mini stories in Persian and Arabic, where I was also dealing with the problem of a different script. So I would certainly do the mini stories, but if you have other sources, by all means, go for it. See what you like. First learn the alphabet, but that's not so difficult. And the more you read and listen, the easier the alphabet becomes. But yeah, the question of the grammar and stuff, it's going to take you a long time to get used to it. Language learning is a long distance event. It's not a sprint. And it takes our brain a long time to get used to. First of all, with the cases, I think fairly soon we start to understand the idea, why the instrumental is the instrumental, why the direct object or whatever, the dative, whatever they call it, why it is there. We understand that. Although there are some reasons in Slavic languages having to do with numbers and negatives, which are difficult to understand. But nevertheless, we understand. Possessive, we understand these things. However, trying to remember the endings when we produce the language is very, very, very difficult. That's why I think it's best to focus on comprehension first, because comprehension, you can still get it wrong by not knowing the case, but there's so many words typically in all languages, the words are redundant. You can figure out the meaning in most cases. And if you are in doubt, if you're reading online, you can look up that particular noun or adjective to see which case it is. Still, you're not always sure. For a long time when I was doing Russian, I would save different nouns and adjectives for what I thought the case was, often getting it wrong. And then when I review these in the vocabulary section, I see by now I'm a little smarter that one shouldn't be there, so I remove the tag. So those are some of the things that you can do, but cases are going to take a while. I'm in the 6th month now. There are some great books like Penguin Russian Course where you can learn about every case. For me, it is easy because my language also has cases. Yeah, the problem is not just understanding why they have cases. The problem is trying to remember the endings across 3 genders. Okay, so don't be in a great big hurry to master them. You won't, at least in my experience. At the present time, we don't have the tutoring service on the mobile version, but all of these things, I would like to see them. The development groups, small group, have their priorities of what they're working at. If you want to see features, talk it up on the forum. If there's a lot of people who feel that this is a priority, then we can get there. I know it is in the works. It's something we want to get to, tutor via the mobile. Do you think for someone who's trying to sound as native as possible, it's a good idea for them to study Japanese pitch accent? I would say that I speak Japanese well and that I have good pronunciation in Japanese. I don't understand what pitch is about. I've never worried about pitch. I think it's an unnecessary complication. I'm very hard to learn English. Listen and read, yes, sir. Gregory AJTT, should I learn to write the kanji from memory for each word, or is the ability to recognize the kanji enough when learning Japanese? When I learned kanji, which I learned for Chinese, I wrote, and I found the writing helped me learn them. However, today there are many more ways of learning the characters. You're not going to write them very often by hand. If you can recognize them, then you will be able eventually to use your computer, because you can type in the pin or the hiragana, in the romaji, and you see 3 or 4 characters and you know which one it is. So being able to write by hand is a less important skill than it was 50 years ago. The question is, can you learn the characters without actually writing them out? I don't know the answer, because when I learned characters, I had to write them out. How do I import material into LingQ on the app? Okay. let me go. I don't do that, but I know you can. So let me just have a look. I'm going to share my screen. Then I have to unplug this. Okay. You know what? I'm going to make a note of that, and any specific questions, I'm going to, because when I go in to show you where to do it, then I lose all the questions here. So import. But the quick answer is I believe you can, but I don't. I hate learning grammar rules that avoid studying as much as possible. I prefer massive input. I heard it gets too difficult after a few questions. Do you agree that writing is more difficult than reading? Yes, writing is the most difficult. Well, in a way, speaking is more difficult because you have to speak immediately. You have to find the word immediately. Writing, you can look things up. So to that extent, it's easier, but writing is more work. You have to have the patience to write. You have to think up something to write about. Speaking, you just speak. So, but yeah, reading is probably the easiest. Assalamu alaikum, thank you. Composer, what new languages will be on LingQ this year? It will depend on what we get offered to us. I hear there's some Hungarian in the works. There was some Georgian someone is working on. It depends what languages people are prepared to create content for. I just used Vocamon to translate Byzantine history in Greek and uploaded to LingQ. I'm probably A2, B1. I'm very interested in history. Do you recommend my jump to such an advanced level? This is Gus, evening. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of intermediate content. I think interest is a big factor. You're going to find it very difficult because presumably a lot of names, you know, personal names, place names. I mean, I did that with my Greek. I found this podcast on the building of the Parthenon, which I actually paid someone to transcribe. I didn't know that there were these other less expensive options. You know, go for it. You're going to struggle and then go back to easier stuff and then struggle. It's that constant back and forth. Make the mobile able to edit lessons. Okay. I agree with you, Lazarus. We should make it possible to edit lessons on the app. Although, I mean, you can get to the, okay, many lessons have mistakes. I mean, until we actually make it, okay. So all this issue of mistakes in lessons, at the very least, let us know. Yes, and these typically are reported on the forum. And maybe that's not the ideal place to do it, but that's one way to do it. We give people an editor's pencil so they can go in and edit lessons. Again, I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to edit it on the app, but I appreciate people who make content. I've made a note of it. I'm going to be discussing it with our people and see what we can do. In the meanwhile, you could also send me an email, steve@LingQ, and we can follow up with you. SML is good. I've used SML for 2 languages, and I thought it was exhausting. I didn't know I'd go to LingQ. Yeah, I mean, I think the Russian SML is one of the better ones because the content is quite interesting. But we have so much content for Russian at LingQ. I think you can find lots at LingQ as well. And here, assalamu alaikum. Okay. Do you know of any place I can find audio and subtitles in German? No, you'd have to look. I don't know. Okay. So Joshua here is doing Master and Margarita in Russian. He has one on LingQ and physical book. Do we learn differently when it comes to digital versus paper? I mean, digital is preferable when it comes to acquiring vocabulary. Paper is more comfortable. It's a nicer way to read. What I have done in the past is do some of the book in digital because I acquire new vocabulary. And typically a writer, one writer will tend to use some of the same vocabulary over and over again in a book. So you don't have to do the whole book digitally. You can do some of it there, and then some of it you read, you're lying in bed reading your book. So you're able to enjoy it both. And I think in general, in language learning, if we're able to cover the same material in 2 or 3 different ways, that's good. So if you can do it, do your Bulgakov online and yet also do it in a book, I think that's reinforcing. It's almost a different experience, and so it's reaffirming. Yeah. Now, what is this here? I have to admit, the Arabic script is difficult, and it's so small always, I can't read these very well here. Good evening, thanks. Well, Amanda Panda, what you need to read in order to acquire more links is dictated by what you're interested in. So I can't tell you whether you should read newspapers or novels. Luca says, how to learn characters in Japanese, because there are many readings of every single character. Yeah, there are many readings of every single character. The biggest issue is understanding the meaning, to my mind, like recognizing the character. But then the different readings, you're going to gradually get used to them. It's almost like a different word. Through more reading and listening, you'll get more and more comfortable with the different readings. But you basically have to be able to identify the character. What is the meaning of this character? And that's difficult for us. Yeah, use LingQ and SME at the same time. Good idea. Thanks, Steve. Great answer. I'll definitely expose myself to both mediums. Okay. That is it. And there was this question about importing. So I am now going to try and hook up again and see if I can. Okay, something I discovered recently I'd like to share is using scripts for films. Yeah, this is Jay Skills. Yes, and in many cases, if it's a YouTube video with subtitles, you can import that into LingQ using our Chrome or browser extension. All right, let me just quickly see if I can hook up this here. And I go to software update is required to what? A software update is required to connect to Steve Coppins. Would you like to download and install this update now? Not now. Okay, now QuickTime Player. The operation could not be completed. Okay, boy. Well, now I got the whirring beach ball. Yeah, let's see here. Go there. Try again. QuickTime Player. This time it worked. File, new movie recording. It pops up. It's still spinning there. Hopefully this is going to work. Here we are. Okay. It worked. Now share screen. Desktop 2. Start screen share. Present to everyone. So now that I've done this, I wonder if I can find where we import. There is a place. Import lesson. Okay. Here, this is new. I'm not sure this exists on the Android, but it does exist on the iOS version. So it's new sometime, and it may only be on the beta. So I go there, I put the title, the course, the level, and I can save it, okay? Of course, I can also import. If I go, the other way of doing it is if you find something on the internet, let us see, let's get out of here. So if I go to, let's say I'm doing Persian. Persian online, by the way, is a great resource. And if I go to intermediate, let's see, Amir Kabir. So I'm not sure this is going to work, by the way. Let's see, Persian text. I know it works from, let's see, that's no good. We'll get out of here. Let's go to, oh, here we are. Okay, so what I do is I go like this, okay, and then I go to import link, and it's not Arabic. It is, where are we here? Or, you know, since I'm doing Arabic today, let's cancel that. And let's go to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera.net. Okay, so we open a lesson here. And I am going to import that. I go here and I import as a linked lesson, blah, 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 save. Open. So, and here I have my lesson. And also reassuring to see that while there are many blue words, there's also many white words and yellow words. So those are the two ways of importing. Now I am going to get out of here. So stop doing this, stop, and stop sharing this. So I yank this and I go to there to find the thing to see if there was any reaction to that. Okay, all right, okay. My mom has the same shutter as Steve from Blue Clues. A question on learning Japanese. Composer, one more thing. Persian looks interesting. I'm not sure if you missed my question. I'm getting on here early. Can you give me any clues on how to learn the prepositions? I didn't say for de or a with verbs in French. Okay. You know what? What I would do is I would save them as phrases. So you save the de. First of all, you can save de, and then you'll see a whole bunch of captured phrases with de or a. Better still, when you see a verb, you know, whatever it might be, you can save like, that's what we're gonna, I'm trying to remember, I can't think of one now, but save them together. Every time you see a verb with de, a verb with a, save that as a phrase, maybe even save 3 or 4 words, and then tag it as verb with a, verb with de. And then in the vocabulary section, you'll eventually have 100 of these. And it's that concentrated exposure. And hopefully that makes you more attentive so that when you're listening or reading, and even reading, if you see verb with de, underline it. Just kind of try to stimulate the brain to be a little bit more observant of when it's de and a. And then when you speak, forget about it. And you'll get it wrong. And eventually you'll get it right more often than wrong. And your accuracy will improve. Thank you, Albert Martin. You think it's possible to learn 3 languages at the same time to fluency? No. Have you ever watched Joe Inoue's video on how the Japanese language is the most difficult language? No, but I don't believe it is the most difficult language. Japanese is not that difficult. The characters are a problem, but other than that, the grammar is not so complicated. And can you speak Arabic? Not really. I'm trying to learn it. أحاول أن أدرس اللغة العربية. للأسف لا أستطيع أن يتكلم بالطلاقة. Is Japanese and Chinese similar? You should learn at the same time. You can learn them both at the same time. Can you reach B1 Chinese in 4 months? Yes. Okay. And I hope I satisfied then the person with the question about the prepositions and the person with the question about how to import lessons in the mobile app. Okay. That's it. All right. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.